As you probably can tell by the title of this slide, my name is Adam Husted, and today I will be talking about Dish Network and more specifically ratio analysis. A quick overview of the ratio analysis I will be discussing within this video is will fall into four major categories: liquidity ratios, leverage ratios, activity ratios, and profitability ratios. Liquidity ratio is simply a financial metric used by financial statement users to determine whether a company has the ability to pay off its short-term debts using its current assets. Two liquidity ratios I will be focusing on within this section is the current ratio and the quick ratio. This chart highlights the liquidity ratios, both the current and the quick ratio, from the periods of 2006 to 2015. Looking at specifically the current ratio, it dramatically increased from the years 2006 to 2014, but from that 2014 to 2015 year, it significantly fell off from a 3.06 value to a 0.69 value, and this basically suggests that Dish Network had a substantial decrease in the amount of current assets in comparison to their current liabilities. Quick ratio also mirrors that of the current ratio, as that from the 2006 period to the 2014 period, it also significantly increased. And then also from the 2014 to 2015 period, that value significantly decreased. It went from a 2.48 value to a 0.48 value, and much like the current ratio, it shows that the current assets minus any inventory for the period significantly decreased in comparisons to their current liabilities for the period. The next section I'll be talking about is the leverage ratios. And the leverage ratios are simply just a metric used to determine the firm's capital structure. And one leverage ratio I'll be focusing on is the debt to equity ratio. This chart simply just shows that the debt to equity ratio from the 2006 period to the 2015 period. And something to note is that in 2006, 2008, and 2009, 2010, and 2011, Dish Network had no debt to account for, and in 2007 their debt to equity ratio was 7.15. 2012 it shot up dramatically to 307.87, and then that value tapered off in the following years. This chart just simply suggests that Dish Network isn't too keen on using debt to finance their operations. They would rather focus on issuing equity to finance their current operations. Alright, so the next major section I'll be going over is the activity ratios, and these ratios just simply suggest whether or not a firm like Dish is able to convert their assets into sales. Two activity ratios I'll be focusing on within this video, within this section, is the inventory turnover ratio as well as the asset turnover ratio. Like with the other ratio analysis within this video, I'll be focusing on the years from 2006 to 2015. And going into the activity ratios, the inventory turnover is essentially just sales divided by the inventory, and it just suggests how fast the inventory is turned over each period. Dish Network has been historically good at it, especially in 2006, but they've progressively gotten worse at turning over their inventory, and in 2013 they once again started to get better at it. For the asset turnover, that's just simply sales divided by total assets. And for 2006, they were pretty good. They were at 1.14, and this has just dropped off over the years, and this just suggests that they're not able to produce as much sales in relative to their assets, their total assets for the period. The final section I'll be discussing is the profitability ratios. The profitability ratios just simply suggest the firm's ability to generate earnings relative to their expenses for the period. Two profitability ratios I'll be discussing within this section is the return on assets as well as the gross margin. The return on assets simply just measures a firm's ability to derive income from their total assets. And looking at Dish's return on assets over the years, they started out with a value of 7.08, and this went up throughout the years up until 2011, where it reached 14.37. But after that, this value had significantly decreased, and this just simply suggests that Dish Network isn't able to derive as much value from their total assets as they have been in the past. For the gross margin percentage is calculated by taking the sales for the period and subtracting out the cost of goods sold, and then dividing that numerator by the sales. And this shows this simply just suggests a firm's efficiency in comparing their sales to their expenses for the period. Dish Network had remained consistent in the 30s up until the last few years, just like the return on assets, where it decreased but not as much. And this once again just shows that they are less efficient in the use of their resources to create value for the firm.